just in case you have or have not seen any of my other videos, just wanted to show this is a Glarry GP Pro, also called Glarry GP No Pickguard model. Purchased because we were doing a music video that we needed white instruments for. My other white bass has a big black pickguard, so I chose to go with this. After that video, we started a podcast where we wear white and gold, and at that point I toyed around with the idea of doing all gold hardware on here. But then I liked the look of black better, so I just decided that taking away the silver or chrome hardware and putting all black, including this, the knobs, the bridge, the tuning machines, and the string tree, swap into black and having a little gold accent and gold and white strap would help tie in pretty well with our podcast attire, and it did. So basically the idea with this was I had already purchased one of these basses before and I really liked it, and I put a Dimarzio Relentless pickup in it. And I decided at that moment that that was the best P-bass pickup that I had ever heard, and I would be interested in using it in some sort of future build, but I pretty much always play 5 strings. So instead of waiting for a 5-string version of the pickup, I decided, well, you know, maybe I can tune a bass to B. At first I thought, well, maybe I'll buy the other version of the Relentless pickup with the pole pieces. But then I thought, well, you know, let's try something very different, and I'll give the Dimarzio Sixties P a try. And they sounded great. I had already decided at that moment as well that if I'm doing another P bass, I'm going to put the chromes on it as well, so they're flat wound strings. So a combination of a 60s P and flat wound strings gives you that sort of old school sound. Now, to give a little bit of backstory in that as well, we just did a whole album called Paradise, and I recorded most of it on my Schecter P-bass over here. I'll show you. Most of it recorded on this bass with the Power Blade pickup there, which is a ceramic, very hot pickup. And I did a lot of EQing due to the nature of the songs to cut out a bunch of mids and treble, which this pickup isn't very trebly to begin with. I sculpted it in a certain way for this to fit. Well, this pickup kind of already fits, especially with flat wound strings. So this is easier to achieve the sort of sound I was going for, which I think is thubby, warm, give you a nice hug P-bass sound. And this pickup is sort of the like super aggressive, tons of low end, but hit you in the face kind of P-bass sound. So now we compile a list of reasons why this is great, because this is a cheap starting place for you to mod and do whatever you want to it. And it's a P-bass look without the pickguard. Something that's few and far between since the 80s. This was a very 80s sort of look, but Glarry makes it, you know, and it's really cheap. I should add this is lightweight. You got maple fretboard with block inlays. It's a standard size for everything as well. So I was able to get standard size bridge, tuning machines, and everything that just fit right in. So it should be noted that it's obviously a very bass player thing to do to not change your strings very often. And when you go with flat wounds, the goal is to not change them and let them get as old as possible, which is what I'm doing with this and my other Glarry. Here's the one in the burly wood finish with the Relentless. I'm going to leave this one in standard tuning. This one's in B. I'm both going to wear these strings until I decide that they don't sound good anymore, which will be unlikely. It took a little bit of work to get the thick strings on here to tune it to B. I took a drill to the back of the bridge. This bridge will accommodate, by the way, this is a Wilkinson. It'll accommodate a lot of fifth strings, but the wrap on this one, which is a 132 gauge, wouldn't go through. So I had to give it a little bit of help. So I think this is a great bridge if you want to tune something to B. And then I had to file the nut, and I worked up the bravery this time to do it myself. And I bought some nut files from Music Nomad to go ahead and make the investments instead of paying somebody to do it. I'm going to continue to use this as long as we're performing the songs from the Paradise album. To me, this is no sort of compromise at all. I think a lot of people would view something like this as a compromise, but I've played a lot of basses. I've been playing for 20 years, and the Glarry is no compromise because, in my opinion, 90 to 95% of the tone comes from your pickup and your electronics. And I've changed out volume and tone pots here to something that works really well for me. Basically all the way open unless it sounds kind of bright. And then this pickup is really great. The comparison between this and the Relentless is that this has a little bit more clarity. And the strings are stainless steel, despite being flat wounds. So you can, if you choose, get some actual note definition out of this. That's why a tone knob is still useful. It can be useful. The Relentless pickup does roll off a bunch of high end, and I can tell that it's overwound because you have sort of a mid peak that this one doesn't have. I'm not saying that this one's super scooped, but it is a little dipped in the mids. I think that's where this is 60s-ish. Obviously a 60s pickup is not wound to 13K like this. Also doesn't have a metal housing with recessed screws. Everything about this is what a P-bass pickup should be. It's a very modern design with some old school flair to it. So I really enjoy this. I'm not saying that it's better than the Relentless. It's a very hard decision to make. But this does what a lot of cab sims and tone shaping do anyways. A lot of people try to make a P-bass sound a certain way by running it through like an 8x10 or, you know, something like that. But I find that if I record this direct, I feel like I'm using an amp sim or something like that. It's really, really interesting how good this is. Thank you, Glarry, for making something like this. This is cool. I hope you do make a 5-string version someday. Dimarzio, I hope that you make a 5-string version of any of these P-bass pickups. If you guys choose not to, I'm going to keep playing this. You know, I think missing out on the highest G string isn't really the worst thing in the world, but I do feel a wee bit limited.